This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about issues related to individuals with disabilities. Today, though it's early fall, it's time to begin talking about this year's Toys for Tots campaign, coordinated in Chautauqua County again this year by the Resource Center. Joining me on Share the Vision to open the show, as he often does, Steve Watterson, Community Relations Director at the Resource Center. Steve, thank you for welcoming me back to Dunham Avenue on this beautiful day.
We always love to have you here, Dennis. Thanks for coming down.
It is almost too early, it seems, to talk about things related to the fall and the winter and the holidays. But this is one particular subject that, for at least the next half hour, needs to be taken right to the top of the front page.
Right, you're right. It's 70 degrees and sunny out right now, and you don't think about Christmas. But indeed, now is the time to start thinking about Christmas. As you mentioned, the Resource Center has been coordinating the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots drive for all of Chautauqua County for a number of years. And in order to be able to do that and get those toys that make the holidays of thousands of children merrier, we do a fundraising event every year. Just about this time, that event is taking place a week from tonight, and we want to tell listeners about it so they will be inspired to cross off anything on their calendar they may already have scheduled for next Saturday and get on down to the Crystal Ballroom for our big event.
I'm going to stop you there, have you join me again a little later in the program, because Terry Johnson is here, Director of Rehabilitation and Employment Services, and one of the Toys for Tots coordinators at the Resource Center. Terry, always nice to talk to you, and particularly nice to have the opportunity to speak to you on this beautiful day.
Thank you. We're very happy that you're here, and we always like to talk about this topic with you.
We will get into some of the background and detail and some of the things that you've been doing just recently regarding Toys for Tots and continuing education in the development of Toys for Tots in Chautauqua County. But we want to postpone that to continue developing the theme that Steve started for us about your kickoff event, which, as this is broadcast, is 1 week from tonight, which would be October 4th.
Correct.
What are the plans for this year?
Well, we are changing our focus a little bit this year. In the past, we've been doing a variety show, and this year we are doing an exclusive performance by the Lights of Broadway. We will be having our Chinese auction that we have every year. We're getting fantastic items donated for that. We will be having hors d'oeuvres at the beginning of the performance or before the performance, and we're going to have a fantastic dessert buffet that I think both Jason and Steve can attest to is outstanding, that we have every year during intermission, and it's really just a good time. But again, this year we're going to be really having one solid performance by the Lights of Broadway, which they have done in years past, a snippet, kind of like a tease for everybody. They've done like a 10 or 15 minute performance as part of our event that we've had in the past, and it was such a crowd pleaser that they've written their own performance and have agreed to do the entire show for us this year. And we're very happy about that.
This is 1 week from tonight, Crystal Ballroom, Hotel Jamestown Building. What time does it start?
7 p.m. is when it starts, hors d'oeuvres, and the show starts at 8.
And how much are the tickets?
$25.
And how can people obtain them?
They can call either 661-1433 or 661-1042.
Stand by for more on Toys for Tots, this year's campaign, and a little look back at what has been accomplished since Toys for Tots began in Chautauqua County under the umbrella of the Resource Center about a decade and a half ago. But Terry mentioned a couple of times here that Jason is along, and Jason Williams, who's the founder of the Lights of Broadway, has taken a few minutes to come off the stage and join us on this radio show. Jason, how are you?
Not bad, thanks, Dennis.
It is always a pleasure to see you, and
Good
I hope you are well.
Doing very well, thank you.
Aside from being the founder of the Lights of Broadway and a tremendously entertaining man, Jason is also a middle school educator at Washington Middle School in Jamestown. What have you planned for the Lights of Broadway for this year's kickoff for Toys for Tots?
Well, we've been tossing around an idea for a couple of years now about doing a Christmas show for our group, and we never really had a good place to perform this because we were usually a summer-type group, or early spring we would do something. And then the Toys for Tots folks come to us and say, we would like you to do a full show for us. And we thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity to do this. So we wrote our own original-ish comedy based around Christmas. It's, the backbone of it is the classic story of A Christmas Carol, and then we just start throwing every other Christmas-themed special you can possibly think of into the mix, too.
So this becomes then a real stew almost.
Oh, absolutely.
Of a collage of every Christmas story you've ever heard.
I mean, figure the stores have already started bringing in decorations and things, so the Christmas specials will be starting up, and who's got time to watch all of them? So we'll just put them all together for you. Get it done in an hour and a half, and you can go about your business.
The people in the room, Terry and Steve, are already laughing, and Jason has just begun to describe the performance, and not even performed any of it. Who else is in the Lights of Broadway? Because it's not just you. There are other people named on the poster here promoting this event. So who's going to help you put on this Christmas show on the 4th of October?
Well, for the past many years that we've been doing snippets for the Toys for Tots, I've had Jeff Kresge by my side, and Keith Stamm as well. He's been in and out depending on how he's doing with the Army Reserves, so the two of them are back for this show. We've also brought Jamie Berg out of retirement. He did a show with us a couple years ago, and he wanted to try his hand at it again, and he's absolutely hysterical. And we've got a newcomer, Scott Costantini, who's been honing his skills with Jamestown musicals and comedies at Little Theater, and now he's coming to play with us for a while.
Now, just because there's a lot of different kinds of comedy out there these days, locally and around the nation and on television and around the world, is this, do you put it all together, or is it improvised? How does it really work for you at the Lights of Broadway?
A little bit of everything. I mean, we've got the thing scripted out. We know what we're going to say and when we're going to say it, but then as we're rehearsing, we have a tendency to improvise with each other, and sometimes some of those improvisations stick and they become part of the script. And then, of course, when the moment hits us on stage, you never know what's going to happen, and sometimes we deviate again and just see where it goes.
The show, is it just comedy, interplay, situation comedy, or do you sing or dance? I mean, what else is, if anything, is wrapped into this?
We've got very little bit of music. There are a couple parts where a couple of the guys will sing or make noise with their mouth of some sort. We're not the most musical group out there. We have quick changes. We've got a normal comedy. We even bring in puppets at one point. So we just run the gambit of whatever we can find.
What inspired you? And we'll get back to Toys for Tots in a moment. But Jason, what inspired you to start the Lights of Broadway and to do these occasional performances for a variety of organizations at a variety of venues around the Jamestown area?
It started 10 years ago. This is our 10th anniversary this year, so it's a perfect time to put out an original show. As a small fundraiser, because we were given a theater to perform in. Do what you like with it and use it for whatever you want to. And we put on a fundraiser for multiple sclerosis. And it started out as a musical review. We had a bunch of people who were singers and musicians, and we put that together, and we did that a few times. And we also found out that a number of the members of the group who were singing were also very funny, and we just liked hanging out together and riffing off of one another. And those musical performances got to be expensive, so we put on a small comedy to pay for one of our other shows. And we realized we were more successful doing that than we were with the musical things, and we were having a lot more fun doing it. And laughter is a great stress reliever, so we were feeling good doing it and making a lot of people happy, so we stuck with the comedy.
Wow. Well, what a funny history. And I mean that in the nicest of ways. For those of us who've been involved with you, seen your shows, worked with you over time, I mean, it really is just a delightful energy that you have brought to the community, and many, many smiles.
Thank you.
Just a moment. We're going to take a break here in a second and go back to Terry. But how's school going? I mean, does this
busy year?
Does it interact with the Lights of Broadway and your comedy work? I mean, does this cross your education path ever?
Oh, sometimes. Yeah. We have a lot of teachers actually in the group. So Jeff is a middle school teacher, and Jamie is administration out in Randolph, and Scott Constantine just graduated with his degree in teaching, and Keith Stamm is actually a trainer for the Army, so he's got his hand in teaching as well. So it just seems to be a good way to get together after, with all the state mandates and the stress and everything and all the rigors of the job. Just getting together and blowing off some steam this way has been a great gift for all of us. And it kind of makes us better educators as well, because we can bring that chemistry back into the classroom and make the kids laugh as well.
That's what I thought I heard you say, that being a comedian helps you be a better teacher.
It's all just talking in front of people, just different people, smaller people.
On that note, we'll be back in just a moment. This is about Toys for Tots on Share the Vision today.
Looking for quality primary care in the Jamestown area? TRC Health Services is accepting new patients. TRC Health Services has provided primary care to our community for 20 years. TRC Health Services has an experienced team of health providers, offers fast scheduling of appointments, off-street parking, and bilingual staff, and they can bill most insurances. TRC Health Services, 890 East 2nd Street. Call 661-1447. That's 661-1447.
And now we're back at the Dunham Avenue Administrative Offices of the Resource Center for Share the Vision today. We are talking about Toys for Tots, and we'll get back to Jason and have him recap the event that he has created with the Lights of Broadway for October 4th, 1 week from tonight at the Crystal Ballroom in Jamestown, a $25 ticket in just a few minutes. But Terry Johnson is here. She's the Director of Rehabilitation and Employment Services for 3/4 of the year or so, or all the time, and then adds for a quarter of the year or longer the job of Toys for Tots Coordinator, along with Heather Brown, who's now an Assistant Executive Director here at the Resource Center. And it's just the two of you now who are coordinating Toys for Tots.
And then there were two. That's Heather and I have said that for many, many years when we're working on projects. As the days get later and the weekends go on, and it somehow always ends up that there's the two of us left at the end. And so that has become our catchphrase when we're doing things, and we always end up with saying, and then there were two. So well, here we are again.
What I meant to say is that you, as you have moved up through the Resource Center, and Heather, too, into new jobs and increased responsibilities over this decade and a half that the Resource Center has been doing Toys for Tots, you've not lost your love for this. You've not lost your connection to Toys for Tots at all.
No, in fact, a couple of years ago, my job had changed in such where I ended up working for a separate corporation outside of TRC, and it was very important to me that I found a way to still be able to be involved with Toys for Tots and participate in the same capacity, because I didn't want to lose that. It was something that I've been doing since I started at the Resource Center as a case manager all those years ago, and it was something that I wasn't ready to let go of, and I found a way to still make it work even though I wasn't still working here.
What is it personally, and over this course of time, you have had a family of your own, increased responsibilities here. Life changes a lot over 15 years. What is it that is so compelling about Toys for Tots that always brings you back into a huge job of putting all this together?
I think it comes back to, one, I have always loved giving back to the community. When Jason was talking about how he got started with the Lights of Broadway originally, it made me smile because that's when I met Jason. We were working on the same fundraising team for the same event at that time, and that's how he and I met. And so giving back to the community has always been important to me. It's something that I've been involved with since I was a child, and the stories that we hear each year from people that are coming to receive the toys are those things. There's stories every year. There's something that captures me that when I think that at the end of the season and I'm just burned out and tired of it, there's always a few of those stories that just bring me back in. And then now, as my life has changed and I have a family of my own, it's wanting to teach my children the same things that I was growing up with, of giving back to the community and recognizing that there's people out there that don't have necessarily the things that my kids have, and recognizing that there's other people out there that need some assistance and need some help. So it's also a way for me to teach my children the lessons in giving back to the community, which I think is extremely important.
A moment for how Toys for Tots works. This is really the Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots, coordinated by the Resource Center, you and Heather Brown, two high-ranking officials here at the Resource Center coordinate all this, but take us a step or two beyond that in terms of the collection, the distribution, and how it all comes together.
Well, we'll start in November getting out our boxes to different areas in the community. Usually we have about 80, I always say barrel sites, because several years ago they were big, huge, round barrels, and now they're cardboard boxes, but we still always call them our barrel sites. So we'll have about 80 barrel sites out in the community, and then we are seeking out volunteers to volunteer to adopt those boxes and barrels and collect the toys and bring them into what is our Toy Central. We always call it Toy Central, where we collect all of the toys and distribute all the toys out of. And then we have our application process. We send out applications to all of the social service agencies in the schools in the area. And then we have walk-in days for people that may not be affiliated with those agencies, so people can come and apply to receive toys. And then we spend the next month just trying to gather all of that application information and sort it out and organize it so that we can keep track of it and make sure that everybody's needs are being met and that we have enough toys to meet the applications that are coming in. And then continuing to bring those toys in over the course of November and December. And then we have a day that we sort the toys, and then we bag the toys, and then we start distributing the toys.
So this is a way for families with children who are in need to have a little Christmas or a little more Christmas at the holidays, thanks to the generosity of others in the community.
Absolutely, and it's a way that people can come, and it's not a lot, that's one of the things that we always say, we're giving them 1 or 2 toys to supplement their Christmas, something that they can have under the tree on Christmas morning. And I was looking at this poster, and the tagline that we always use is every child deserves a little Christmas, and that's kind of something that we live by every year. It's just a little something extra to help the parents or grandparents or whoever the guardian of the child is to make things a little bit easier and take a little bit of that stress burden off. The holidays are extremely stressful for people with financial constraints, and it's just something to take the burden off a little bit and give them something to be able to give their children and put a smile on their face.
What is the Marine Corps Reserve's role in all of this?
The Marine Corps Reserves coordinates Toys for Tots across the entire United States, and they provide us with all of the equipment and material we need. They give us all of our boxes and our posters and all of our materials. They provide us with some media outreach. They supplement toys for us, which is, I think, an important thing to note. If we're lacking toys in any age groups, usually we get them ahead of time. So they'll give us some toys to meet some of those age groups that we sometimes struggle with. So we can usually expect that we'll get some things from them for teenagers or babies because they know that it's the area that most organizations struggle with.
So there's a lot of mechanics and a lot of layers to this, but really it's a very joyful effort to bring, as you say, a little bit of Christmas to children in the community.
Absolutely.
You are just back, as we record this broadcast, from an intensive training that the Marine Corps Reserve offered to you. And you were telling me before we began recording here at Dunham Avenue today, Terry Johnson, that it was a very interesting experience.
It was. I had the opportunity to go to a training, a Toys for Tots training for all coordinators in Leesburg, Virginia, and I just got back the other day. I was gone for about 4 days, and I really felt like a fish out of water. I was there, and there's a lot of Marine units, of active Marines that were there as new coordinators in different bases. I met the person from the Buffalo office and Rochester organizations, and there was just a ton of people there. And then those that are local community organizations like the Resource Center is very different. A lot of them are Marine Leagues. They're VFW clubs that organize the local community organizations. So a lot of veterans there. And I was laughing, and everybody was laughing at me because I said I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I kept going out there, and everything. There was a lot of rules, and it was, you need to be down for breakfast at 0700 or you're not going to eat, and you need to do this. And I sat there, and I got my schedule, and I had to write it all out in my normal time because I was trying to count what my military time was so I didn't miss anything important. But it was really great networking with other people and seeing how others run their campaign and how others fundraise and find ways to bring toys in and how they issue out challenges in the community to bring toys in, and certainly got a lot of great ideas of things that we would like to be able to pursue to get the community more involved and more engaged in participating in the program.
What's the sense of the Toys for Tots organization nationally through the Marine Corps Reserves? Is there a lot of vitality, a lot of interest, a lot of excitement?
Yes, there's a lot of excitement, and most of the people that were there were new coordinators because the Marines rotate a lot every few years, so there's always a lot of new Marine coordinators. But then in the local community organizations, there's also a lot of changing. One of the things that they pointed out that I thought was a pretty interesting fact that I think a lot of people are always looking for when they're ready to make donations to charities is how much of donations actually go for the purpose. And it was interested to hear that $97 out of every 100 goes to purchase toys in the Toys for Tots Foundation, and $0 goes towards any salaries or anything like that. So it's a charity where the money goes to the cause of what people are intending it to go for. So I think that was a really good message that came out loud and clear. And the other thing is that they have the capacity to do a lot of public relations and media outreach, and I thought that was good to see some of the PSAs and the commercials that are working on and the national sponsors they get. It's just one of those causes that everybody wants to help kids around the holiday time. So I think that people are very supportive of Toys for Tots. They know what it is. It's very recognizable. People know the train logo. They hear about it and they know about it. So it really is one of those national things that has a lot of recognition to it.
Well, I know when you said the return rate is 97%, for investments that people make into Toys for Tots. I can understand why that's so, because I have been around doing these radio programs as long as TRC, the Resource Center, has been involved in Toys for Tots, and I have seen up close and personal the commitment that you have, Heather Brown, Mike Volk for many years, now retired, before you as coordinators, and many other people on the staff of this agency who give an extraordinary amount of time and energy to this effort at a period of the year in which everybody's busy, because it's a very social time. The weather can be challenging. There are a million things that are happening at that time of year. So I can see immediately why it's as efficient as it is, because there are people like you, Terry Johnson, who are committed to it.
And, we are so lucky every year. I think we always have a conversation about the amount of volunteers that we get, especially for the same reasons, the timing of the year that it is. It's usually the week before Christmas on a Saturday and a Sunday, and people coming down and giving us their entire weekend to help support us. And it overwhelms us sometimes of how generous our volunteers are, that they're willing to take that time out of their busy schedules to help us achieve this.
We're getting to the point where we need to wrap up today's program in a number of ways. But first, if we have touched the heart of some person in the community who, as an individual, a family involved in a social organization or a business, and they would like to get on board early with you for Toys for Tots this year, how can they find you, Terry?
They can call me at 661-1433.
And that's the same number that people can call if they want tickets to the event a week from tonight at the Crystal Ballroom.
Yes.
Which will be most fun, and will help kick you off and raise some money, kick off the program, I should say, for this year, and help raise money for the toys that you might need that are not donated to you in the boxes.
Yep, absolutely.
Otherwise, it's a little too early for people to go out shopping for their toys and take them anywhere.
It's never too early. We will take toys. If somebody comes down to one of our sites now, we would be more than happy to take their toys. We encourage people that are coming to the event, if they bring a toy to the event, that they are entered to win a door prize. So it's never too early to start accepting toys. We might not have a place to put them, but we'll find it. You should see my garage.
Well, I was just going to say, you don't even have a headquarters location yet, do you?
Not yet. We have a place that we're going to be using that we just got confirmed yesterday. We're going to be having our Toy Central at the Gateway Center.
On Water Street.
On Water Street. But we don't have access to it quite yet, but we will be. That's where we will be doing all of our distribution out of and taking our applications at when the time gets closer.
Stay tuned for further news on that. I wanted to save a couple of minutes at the end for Jason Williams again. He's founder of the Lights of Broadway and a middle school educator at the Washington Middle School in Jamestown. You heard him earlier in the show. First, your reaction to the heartfelt stories that Terry was telling about her involvement in Toys for Tots and the training that she just came back from, Jason.
I couldn't agree more with everything that Terry said. Being a part of this fundraiser for the past few years, you see that, you get that feeling, and no better feeling than being a kid at Christmas time. And this is a chance for us to do that, to be around the toys and to make children happy. And that's just the best part of the season.
So this is a very funny show that you've put together, you and the other members of the Lights of Broadway, that you're going to let unfold here a week from tonight at the Crystal Ballroom. May I ask, are there any lamps that look like legs or any other parts of human?
Surprisingly enough, we did not work in the leg lamp, and one of our guys has it in his house all year long already, but it was one of the props we forgot. It's just part of the furniture there. But no, we didn't work in the leg lamp. Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation will be showing up, and the BB gun from Christmas Story will be showing up, but the leg lamp didn't make it.
Oh, well, don't put your eye
on
it.
Yeah. Some things just didn't make the cut.
Well, Jason, thank you, because you and the Lights of Broadway are putting a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of work into this original, never-seen-before program that will unfold a week from tonight. You're demonstrating your commitment to the young people in our area as well through this effort. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dennis.
I want at this point to turn the show, while we have a couple of minutes left, back to Steve Watterson, Community Relations Director here at the Resource Center. As this is broadcast, another major event is unfolding at the point at which we are recording this, because the Step Up for Autism walk the walk part will just be concluding now as this program goes off the air.
Well, that's right. We'll be going until 1 o'clock. The fabulous Chinese auction and cake auction will be starting in just a few minutes. So if you're in the area, head on down. There's still time to get involved on the Chinese auction and start bidding on the cakes.
And we are recording this in advance, but as we anticipate the weather's going to be, we can say it's been a glorious day with almost a great degree of certainty in terms of the weather and the appeal of that event for people to come out. As we talked about a couple of weeks ago on this broadcast, it is very compelling, educational, and fun, all wrapped into one.
Absolutely.
Any other news for the Resource Center, Steve?
Yes, just letting people know that we are having our 26th Annual Disability Awareness Award Celebration on October 8th. It's up at the Dunkirk Moose Lodge. Reservations to get your tickets ends this Wednesday, October 1st. So if you'd like to come up, $15 gets you appetizers, dessert, and the opportunity to recognize about a dozen individuals and businesses who have done a lot to improve the lives of people with disabilities in our community. And call the Resource Center at 483-2344, and we can give you information on how to make your reservation.
I remember very fondly 2 years ago when you were at Dunkirk again, another time when I received one of the Disability Awareness Awards. Very honored to have received that at that time. It has meant a great deal to me ever since then, and it is we've covered it here. We'll cover it again for the Share the Vision broadcast. Always a very moving ceremony in terms of the stories that are told there.
Yep, and if you'd like to go to our website, the Resource Center's website, resourcecenter.org, you can look up and see who the award recipients are, and if there's someone you know, you can come out and cheer them in person.
Thank you very much, not only to Steve Watterson, but to Terry Johnson, especially to Jason Williams, who came in after school. This is kind of like your...
It's my detention.
Yeah. Thank you all for sharing the vision today.